Hello, and welcome to the second edition of Fantasy Talk with your host, Tyler Ferrero. To start things off, I'll be doing my sleeper picks for week 4 and 5 of the NFL season. My first sleeper is wide receiver Brian Hartline for the Miami Dolphins. And so far this year, he has been Ryan Tannehill's favorite target, and I expect the same as he goes up against the Saints and the Ravens defense the next 2 weeks. And if you need a wide receiver, Hartline is owned in only 50.8% of ESPN fantasy leagues. My second sleeper for week 4 and 5 of the NFL season is wide receiver Kenbrell Thompkins for the New England Patriots. Last week, Thompkins scored 2 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this week he's going up against the weak Atlanta Falcons secondary. So even though Rob Gronkowski is going to be back this week, I still expect Thompkins to have a pretty huge week. My third sleeper this week is running back Jason Snelling for the Atlanta Falcons. Since the Steven Jackson injury, running back Jacquizz Rodgers and Jason Snelling have both been splitting carries for the Atlanta Falcons. But they've been using Snelling more in the red zone, so expect him to score more touchdowns than Rodgers, and Snelling is owned in only 23.5% of ESPN fantasy leagues. My fourth and final sleeper pick is only for week 4 of the NFL season, and it is the Tennessee Titans defense/special teams. And the only reason I like them for week 4 is because they're going up against the New York Jets, who have a rookie quarterback named Geno Smith, who in the first 3 weeks of the NFL season has been prone to making turnovers. So if you need a defense for week 4 of the NFL season, I'd pick up the Titans defense, and they should be available because they are only owned in 6.6% of ESPN fantasy leagues. And now it's time for the love and hate segment, where I talk about the players who I feel will play very well or very poorly for week 4 and 5 of the NFL season. The first player I love for week 4 and 5 is running back Bilal Powell for the New York Jets. And this week, his backup Chris Ivory is questionable. So expect Powell to get more touches this week. And don't forget, last week, Powell had 149 rushing yards against the Buffalo Bills. So this week, I expect the same as he's going up against the Tennessee Titans defense. The second player I love for week 4 and 5 is running back Knowshon Moreno for the Denver Broncos. And this week, Moreno is going up against the abysmal Philadelphia Eagles defense. And if you've been paying attention in the NFL season, you'll notice that the Denver Broncos have scored the most points in the NFL this year. So this week, expect Moreno to score plenty of fantasy points. The third player I love for the upcoming weeks is running back Darren McFadden for the Oakland Raiders. In the next 2 weeks, he is going up against the Washington Redskins, who have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, and the San Diego Chargers, who have an average run defense. So, for the next 2 weeks, I expect McFadden to get plenty of touches and hopefully score some touchdowns. And for the fourth and final player I love this week is wide receiver Demaryius Thomas, who also plays for the Denver Broncos. And like I said before, they're going up against the Eagles defense, who is one of the worst in the NFL. And their offense likes to push the tempo. So this week the Broncos will run a lot more plays and expect a lot of them to be passes to Demaryius Thomas. And now I'll be talking about the players who I hate for week 4 and 5 of the NFL season. The first player I hate for week 4 and 5 is running back CJ Spiller for the Buffalo Bills. And last week, Spiller had a quad injury that will most likely limit him this week as they go up against the Ravens. So expect his backup Fred Jackson to get most of the touches this week. But if you own Jackson on one of your fantasy teams, you should probably consider starting him this week against the Baltimore Ravens. The second player I hate this week is running back BenJarvus Green-Ellis for the Cincinnati Bengals. And this week, Green-Ellis is questionable. And for the last few weeks, hotshot rookie running back Giovanni Bernard has been increasing his role in the offense. So in the next few weeks, I expect Bernard to become the starting running back for the Cincinnati Bengals. And now for the third player I hate this week is running back Arian Foster for the Houston Texans. And for the next 2 weeks, Foster is going up against the 2 best defenses in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers defense. And I know you spent a first round draft pick on him, but don't expect him to play very well in the next 2 weeks. And for the fourth and final player I hate this week is running back Stephen Ridley for the New England Patriots. And last week, Ridley was outplayed by his 2 backups, Brandon Bolden and LeGarrette Blount. And the next 2 opponents the Patriots play are the Atlanta Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals, who both have pretty solid run defenses. So expect Ridley to keep struggling. That's all for the second edition of Fantasy Talk. I'm Tyler Ferrero, and I'd like to say thanks for watching, and I hope you tune in next time as I talk about fantasy football for week 6 and 7 of the NFL season. So I hope to see you then.